States warning that the escalating warfare in Yemen is strengthening al-Qaeda's most dangerous affiliate and its efforts to attack the West. The U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter says the group has seized new territory as it exploits the fighting and the chaos. We're joined now live by the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Ed Royce of California. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for joining us. What do you make? What's your reaction to what Ash Carter, the Defense Secretary, says AQAP al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is increasing its threat to the United States right now based on the chaos unfolding in Yemen?
What we know, Wolf, is that they have not only seized additional territory, including cities there on the in the southern part of Yemen, right on the Red Sea, but they've been able to release a lot of prisoners. About a number of these are al-Qaeda prisoners, and so as these prisoners are released, they also have now no longer have to fear that the United States is going to be able to take military action against them because our special operations are out of there. Unfortunately, our intelligence has been rifled by the Iranian agents, the Quds forces, who have led the Shia militia in taking over the other part of the country. And so our ally right now, is being occupied by forces loyal to Iran in the north and by al-Qaeda increasingly in these cities in the south. It's a disaster.
Well, what exactly is the role of Iran? The Saudi ambassador told me the other day Iran is playing a very significant role backing those Shiite Houthi rebels. The Hezbollah fighters from Lebanon have come in as well. What can you tell us about that?
The Iranian officers are leading this. The Quds forces are leading it. The Iranians are flying in 14 flights a week of heavy munitions. Their artillery is pounding the cities that they're trying to take, and at the same time they just dispatched 2 warships. Now this is particularly concerning because, as you know, the Egyptians and the Saudis have already dispatched their warships to protect those sea lanes. The Red Sea that's one of the most important sea lanes in the world. So now that you hear the Iranians are putting their navy into those waters, this is quite a tinderbox, and we'll see what happens. But it shows the danger of allowing Iran to have this kind of influence and power and have it go unchecked because they're not only active here, as you know, but also across the Arabian Peninsula right now.
We're told also the Defense Department, the U.S. military, sharing intelligence with the Saudis for their airstrikes. What kind of information do you think the U.S. is sharing with Saudi Arabia, some of the Saudi coalition partners who are launching these airstrikes in Yemen right now?
Well, if they're sharing situational intelligence, I would doubt that they would actually share targeting intelligence in a situation like this. But we are offering, as I understand it, the administration has offered to refuel Saudi fighter bombers that are carrying out attacks on the Shia positions in Yemen right now. So that's basically the extent of our involvement at the moment, because U.S. forces have left the area. And now most of that area is in the hands of those loyal to the Iranian revolutionary government.
Are you okay with this U.S. support, whatever the U.S. support is? Because there's some concern the U.S. could get bogged down in yet another war in Yemen right now.
As I say, we're not probably giving direct targeting information, but what we are giving them is probably the situational analysis. So we're letting them know that probably, yes, the Iranian warships are entering the Red Sea. They should be cognizant of that. The Egyptians and the Saudis need to know that. Remember, what the Saudis are working on are 2 premises. One, they and the Jordanians and the Egyptians cannot afford to have the Red Sea closed down. And the Djibouti foreign minister just said this the other day. He said the real danger here is that what these Shia militias are doing, it's blocking the traffic down the Red Sea on the sea lanes. So it's a disaster in terms of the impact it's going to have, on the Arab world in terms of commerce. And then the other concern the Saudis have is that Yemen is along their entire southern border, and several Saudi soldiers have been shot and killed by some of these Shia over the last few days. So that's another tinderbox situation that exists there.
So far, the Saudis were told, are just using air power, but do you suspect they might send in ground forces, tanks, armored personnel carriers at some point?
One source that I talked to said that they thought Saudi special operations people were on the ground, and if that's the case, then there's an even greater chance of Iranian Quds forces coming into contact with Saudi special operations forces, which of course would further inflame the situation. What we should be doing right now is, there should be a unified effort in the international community to tell Iran, get your forces out of Yemen, because you can't be transmitting the message, as they did the other day, that they controlled the capital of Yemen. They now say they control the situation in Damascus, in Baghdad, Lebanon, and they've said some threatening things about trying to take Mecca and Medina. And of course that drives the Saudi government absolutely, up the wall. So the Iranians have really felt empowered in all of this.
Yeah, we got to leave it there, Mr. Chairman, but thanks very much, as usual, for joining us. That's it.